Alright, so I heard y'all wanted another construction jobs ranking video, eh? Yeah, okay, yep, you definitely... Alrighty, well, we're doing it again, fine. Alright, well, before we do it, let's go ahead and look at the previous video's tier list and refresh our memories on where everybody's at.
Alright, so we had the electricians in the S tier, along with the site prep heavy equipment operators. For the A tier, we had the glaziers, along with the steel erectors. In the B tier, we had elevator mechanics, and I don't have a picture of an elevator, so that'll have to do. We also had the mechanical HVAC guys in B, as well as the plumbers, and bringing up the rear as always, the carpenters in B. For the C tier, we had the brick masons and concrete guys, as well as the painters with the only copyright-free image of paint that I have, and the flooring crew also belongs in C. For the F tier, we have the framers and sheetrockers, the fire protection pipe fitters, the roofing crew, the general contractors, and finally the landscapers, who technically don't belong on this list, but we'll tuck them nicely over here.
Okay, so with that out of the way, we can go ahead and begin episode 2 of Construction Jobs Tier List, right? Fresh off the grill. We already did. Oh, you weren't there for that stream that we did a couple weeks back, eh? So you weren't there to stop what's about to happen. 291,000 views, 96% like to dislike ratio, and yet despite that you finished watching and you didn't subscribe. You weren't there to prevent the carnage that's about to befall the surveyors, the inspectors, the insulators, the carpenters again. You didn't subscribe and visit the stream and sway my hand. And so you made the bed. And now I'm gonna eat it. Because I eat beds when people don't subscribe to me.
I said 6 months ago, currently compiling a list of the trades you guys have mentioned in the comments. We'll be making a second video to cover them and rate them and actually use a proper tier list format this time. Any suggestions y'all have, definitely fire them off. But also, just know that if you mention one I already covered in this video, I will be making fun of you a long time, have had several do that thus far. And yes, we will be making a mockery out of stupid decisions and stupid suggestions today, but we will be ranking some that I missed, because there are some that I definitely am sad about missing. I've got a couple of script pages written. I'm going to read over some of those to fill in some of the blanks. I want to start off with the good ones before I start beating on the bad ones. Door installers. These guys I actually did just straight up forget, and I'm embarrassed about that, considering that every building on Earth that isn't a gazebo needs to have a door. That was a massive oversight on my part. The door installers are like the less stressful iteration of the window guys, or the glaziers, if you'll recall from the video. By the time they swagger off the job, the holes and darkened corners of the project are filled with an ever-growing cacophony of cries of, "Anybody got a key for this door? My tool bag is in there!" Considering the vast range of types and styles of doors that one might slap up in this trade, coupled with the unshakable job security of installing something as ubiquitous as snakes in the summer and as necessary as a shovel to whack them with, I believe they belong very solidly in the A tier. Door installers are a pain in my behind because of how often I wind up locked out of an area that I need to get into. But like, really, how much better can it be to install something that every single building needs multiple of? Door installers have such a great job, in my opinion, and I have had the pleasure of sitting there and watching a door installer work, and he explained how he was doing it to me. He was a very nice guy. The balancing, and, you know, they've got to align everything right, and at the end of the day, it's a door. It's very simple. I've got one next to me, believe it or not. There's a door right here, and somebody had to put that in. And in a commercial building, there is a crew that will specifically install doors. That's not done by anybody else except a door company, you know, as opposed to, like, the stud guys will also install sheetrock, which is a thing that I need to talk about in a minute, because some of you people have never been on a construction site any bigger than a telephone booth, and thus criticized me for some of the things that I said in the first video because you've never worked a day in your life. And it's okay. We'll get to that. I'll explain how construction actually goes. But door installers are gangster as heck. They have a very cool job. The hardest part of their job, from the looks of it, is just setting it where it needs to go. Slinging around a big old heavy piece of wood, not exactly the easiest thing to do, but if that's the hardest thing they have to deal with, I mean, pretty phenomenal. Door installers go in A. That is where they go. That is my decree. That is where they belong. We will go with the door installers in A. All right, that's that. Where's another good one that I'm not going to take a dump on? Ah, here we go. Crane operators. The people who use gigantic machines to put big things where they go. No matter what application a crane is used for, if it's a crane on the back of a truck or the yellow towers that look like something out of War of the Worlds, they are the first thing a civilian sees when they look at a construction site. They are as inseparable from this industry as hard hats and reflective vests. These are the machines that make little Timmy point and say, "Look, Mommy, I want to do that when I grow up." And then Mommy smacks him upside the back of the head and says, "Hush all that noise, boy, you're going to be an orthopedic surgeon." The only two things keeping the straight out of the S tier are the fact that your job is to pick stuff up. That stuff is always a catastrophe if you drop it. The second reason is that they are outshined by the best job on this list, which I'll get into momentarily. So yeah, crane operators go in A, and oftentimes the application that I see them for are for tilt wall warehouses, where tilt wall warehouse just has a big old slab that's poured for it. And then they have hooks embedded in that slab, and then the crane will come through and grab it and then pick it up and stand it up into an upright position, and that's the wall. But, I mean, obviously they're used for other things like setting generators, setting the big green transformers, putting the weatherproofing foam up on top of a building, putting air conditioner units, RTUs and stuff up on top of a building. Cranes are absolutely essential for most of the crap that we do on a job site. And so, yeah, that was a massive oversight in the first video. I just should have put them in it. No reason to not, just like the door guys. So cranes go in A. Millwrights. These folks have as badass of a job as the site prep guys, and that they get to shove heavy machinery around, but the big difference is that millwrights actually need to think a lot. These are the people who assemble those gigantic, complex machines that hum at the bowels of every factory, ship loader, pipeline compressor, rail car loader, and anywhere else you need stationary industrial machinery. If you think about it, millwrights are the reason you're watching me right now. They built the machines that assembled your phone or your TV, according to my analytics page. 17% of you watch me on television, which, can I just say, I'm honored to be worthy of the big screen. But yeah, after your device is assembled, it gets put on a ship and delivered over here for you to buy. And who put the engine in the ship? I guarantee it wasn't a landscaper. Yeah, millwrights are the wizards of construction. You don't see them very often on things like a warehouse job or a hospital job, but for building a factory or doing anything at like a port next to the river, millwrights are absolutely everywhere. And yeah, that is a job that I don't feel smart enough to even think about doing. We're going to put them in S just out of respect for the terror that I feel anytime I actually think about trying to do anything remotely similar to their job. Although I can do these little cabinets here on the side. But yeah, the rest of that crap, and I realize a millwright might not have actually had anything to do with that specific assembly, but that's just the best example I can get off of Google without having to buy a picture to put on the tier list. Rigging. Back in the olden days of yore, when the saving grace of internal combustion was mere centuries away, man needed an efficient way to boogie from beach to beach, and paddling wasn't cutting it. So they invented wind, and thus a joyous era of being blown from place to place by Mother Nature's impassioned farts came about. But the super secret behind the success of sailboats wasn't just the utterly inhuman patience of the person who sat down and knitted together a sheet big enough to keep a herd of elephants warm. It was the people responsible for tying it into place, the rigging crew. Now, I realize that there probably wasn't an entire team of people dedicated to this job on a ship, but phrasing it as the rigging crew is a vastly better way of approaching this, as YouTube's auto-captioning system might think I'm saying something else if I call them by their one-word term. So, the people who rig is what I will refer to them, because I've had YouTube's auto-captioning system misunderstand me before, and I don't want that to happen. Because I need YouTube to like me, and I need you to like me, and I need you to like my YouTube. So we'll just keep it at the people who rig. But boy, I tell you something, Sonny. The crap that they have to go through, and the certifications that they have to get, and the calculations that they have to perform to be able to make a safe lift, it's too much thinking. Maybe if I had been raised as a person who rigs, and that had always been the thing that I would do with my career, then sure, I would probably think that it's easy as pie and that being an electrician is a hard job. The rigging crew can do their thing, and the best thing I could do to help them is to stay out of it, because it is a complicated job. It is a scary job. If you don't do your job exactly right, something's hitting the ground in catastrophic fashion. So yeah, rigging belongs. Where did I put it? I put it in S tier. That's where it belongs. There's the rigging guys with the ratchet straps symbolizing the role that they play. So we'll go into the IT guys. I actually did mention the IT guys in passing during the first video, lumping them in as a more specialized, more boring extension of the electricians, because that's what they are. They deal with much lower and thus much less dangerous voltages, and they are on job sites very often as technology becomes more ubiquitous. The most common thing that these guys get into is obviously installing the Cat6 cable for your internet service, but they do have a steadily growing list of other uses like access controls, allowing you to open doors with keycards, equipment controllers, and generally anything below 120 volts, like 60 volts and less, commonly 24 volts. Your IT guys are going to screw with that crap. The IT guys I do not view as being on the same plane as an electrician, not only because of the money situation, and because of the amount of influence that one task has, or one job has, over everything else. I'll be honest with you, I have never met a happy IT person. And that's just the job sites I've worked on. I've only worked on maybe 70 or 80 job sites. But I will say that I've just never met a happy IT guy. I've met plenty of happy electricians, plenty of happy plumbers. I don't think I've ever met a sad crane operator. But the IT guys, dude, I feel like I need to hug them every time I see them, because they just always have a miserable day. So that's my perception of IT guys, the mental image that I have of them. I gave them A tier, I will say. I did give them an A ranking. I feel like it's an A ranking because it's not an easy job, per se. But it's straightforward enough where, as long as you know where your destination for your cable's going to be, all you really have to do is pull the cable. Now, sure, there's going to be obstructions, but the cable that you're using with the little 22 gauge copper conductors inside of it it can go just about anywhere and just about through anything. The only thing that it can't go anywhere near is like something that's going to give it like some magnetic disturbance, like next to a power line. So routing it above ceiling is, you could throw it wherever. You prefer not to. You prefer to put J-hooks on the wall above ceiling and have it routed through that. But it's easy to work in. But yeah, that's the IT guys. And as far as I could tell, that's the end of me being nice. Because I asked y'all in the comment section of the first video to put down your suggestions. And most of the suggestions were stupid. Inspectors, for example. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of this, okay, shall we? Inspectors are not involved in any meaningful way. You can't just throw out the name of every single type of person who appears on a job site, okay? If their tools do not touch an installation on a project, they are not a construction worker. What do inspectors do? They walk around and look. And in extreme circumstances, they may walk around and point at things. That's not to say that the role is unimportant. No, they ensure that the folks are installing stuff and doing their job correctly. And well, Mish, the first civilian who interacts with a finished product. But if we're being honest with ourselves, walking around and in rare and cataclysmic instances gesturing in the direction of things doesn't build the project. Inspectors don't. They don't build the thing. They look at the thing being built. Sometimes they do tap on things, yes. And while that is, you can't have a building built and like approved for public access without an inspector, they don't build it. They approve of the construction. So they are not construction workers. Inspectors was a suggestion by, I think, like 7 or 8 people, and they don't understand what a construction worker is. And that's okay. That's all right. There's that. Come over yonder way, paste from inside of here, point and tap. Inspectors, I'm going to put them, because they're completely irrelevant for the purposes of this video, but are still very relevant for the development of the job site and the completion of it and the success of it, I'm going to put them in C. Because, yeah, they're a big deal. but they don't build it, so they go and see. That's an inspector. Okay? I also forgot to put IT guys in there, so let me go ahead and put their picture in too while I'm stinking about it. There we go. All right, there's tech guys. Sexcellent. All right. Surveyors. The first guys to roll out on the job site are the ones who determine where the building needs to get built. This involves liberal use of the absolute best tool anyone anywhere on a construction site will ever use, the dumpy level. As I was studying to write this video, I was originally going to rank them lower, but then I read what they named their optical instrument, and well, I have to give them points for at least the dumpy level. The reason I was going to put them lower is that it seems like it's a tremendously boring job. You set up your level, your coworker trudges over to the point that you'll need to measure, and then you both wait as the impromptu dump truck parade rumbles in between you, complete with floats and confetti. Then when the dust clears, you can finally see the guy's graduated staff. You take your measurement, put down your benchmark, and then what? What do you do now? Now there's just going to be people parking on top of your benchmark, or digging it up, or suddenly deciding to put a few tons of gravel on top of it. Surveyors, they don't influence the job in a way that, like, people think, yeah, this building right here, there was a surveyor that worked here. I mean, obviously they do, and obviously you can't just slap a building up anywhere. You need to know where you need to put things, so surveyors are vitally important, but nobody ever thinks of them. Whenever you think of a construction worker, the first thing you think of is not a surveyor. The information gathered by surveyors is critical for putting stuff where it needs to get put, but just from my perspective, it seems that I'd find more excitement as a professional napkin folder. I'm going to put them right there next to inspectors, because while they are vital, I would never be one. Surveyors is actually something I still get complaints about. Like, the video has, like, what, 300,000 views? And people are still complaining about the fact that surveyors were not on the list. Well, there you go. This is what you get. This is what you get for complaining about a middling trade. So, surveyors are out of the way. The other one that I get a lot of complaints about, not being on the list, is the insulators. These are the folks who literally give up their comfort and sanity for their client to have their comfort and sanity. Anyone who's ever touched insulation knows all too well that it is some itchy stuff. Primarily composed of billions of tiny fiberglass needles, it'll keep the AC from seeping out of the building walls, but those needles will stick into every pore of your poor mortal frame, seemingly regardless of whether you wear long clothes or gloves. Now, besides the absolutely redonkulous amount of epidermal irritation, there is also a heaping helping of ladder climbing, especially if you're putting insulation around pipes and air ducts rather than in the walls. So there's always that fun feeling of your joints grinding together as your cartilage erodes. Add to that fact that all the other trades will be constantly tearing out your install so that they can put their stuff in, and you'll find that the simplicity of this job is the only thing that keeps it from being in the F tier. Insulation is the worst thing since phones with cords, as far as how it feels to use. My humble yet unquestionably correct opinion is the best way to avoid insulation being in your skin is don't be an insulator, because you're not getting paid nearly as much as you could be making working in electrical, or working in plumbing, or working as a millwright, or a rigging crew person, or a door installer, or a crane installer, or an IT guy. You're not making nearly as much money as you could be in exchange for driving yourself bananas. So yeah, insulators do not belong in any tier above F, but because it's such a simple job, put insulation on thing, I'm putting it in C. What's up, Harley?
Howdy. Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. What you think about insulators, man? What you think about rolling down in the deep when your brain goes numb?
You know, insulators, you gotta respect them for doing the worst job on the planet. I hate insulation so much. The thought of insulation is giving me a hernia. I just don't even want to think about it. When I was doing residential, it was every day. It got so bad that my hands were leathery from constantly getting irritated by it. It was bad.
You know what? The insulators belong in F tier. Like, I'm just gonna put them in F tier. There's no reason to be an insulator. Like, do you have no self-preservation? Like, why?
I mean, I got a lot of respect for them if they're doing something.
I don't, because I don't respect people who deliberately shove their head into the wood chipper. Like, you don't have to, so why would you? I had a lot of people tell me, man, I don't know why you didn't put iron workers in the video. What about iron workers? I did! I did put ironworkers in the video. But regional dialects are why you didn't understand that. I want you to think for a second. When was the last time you were in a building that was built out of iron? The structure of the building. What is it made of? I'm not talking about remodeling a building that was made in the 40s. I'm talking about building a new construction project now. What are the girders made of? What is the beam made of? What are the columns made of? What is the structural skeleton of the building comprised of? And if you say iron, you have no idea what you're doing. Iron is used for some things, but most of it is structural steel, which is why I put steel erectors in the first video.
Did you put welders in your first video?
Yeah, I lumped them in with the steel erectors because welders almost never do anything unless they're working with the millwrights, besides welding structural steel together. And because I know some people are going to be like, well, actually, you actually do make buildings out of iron? So I'm going to Google it. Are buildings still built out of iron in the United States?
Google's like, what are you talking about?
Nobody builds crap out of iron anymore, so they're not called iron workers. They're called steel workers. So, don't actually mean. Siders. I don't know what these are. They're the trade that puts up siding on a house, which is irrelevant because they're building a house, and a house is not a real construction project.
Oh, that's controversial.
But seriously, I don't know what to rate these guys because I don't build houses. The type of projects I work on utilize either CMU walls constructed over several months or tilt wall systems that don't get any form of exterior direct decoration besides a coat of paint. I can only rate these trades based on my knowledge of their work and the experiences that I've had working alongside them. The best I could do is guess, and based on what I can tell, they're like an extension of the Carpenters, but with more emphasis on waterproofing and mold prevention. So, yeah, C tier, because they don't work on real construction projects. I have absolutely no interest in building houses. And if your trade specifically involves that, and that's something else about... The Carpenters were so pissed off with being delegitimized by that video, but they deserve it because Carpenters don't do crap outside of residential. Like, get in a better industry if you don't want to be delegitimized.
Well,
and the problem is you
not
can't.
necessarily house building.
No, furniture, I mean, you know, carpenters can mess around with furniture and that's all fine and good. And that's what the one good thing that they're for, but not for building houses. Yeah, carpenters are just that is a trade that was extremely important for the building of this nation back in the 17 and 1800s, but we're past that now. Because of the bitching that was done on the first video, I'm going to put carpenters in this again. You know what? I'm going to make an ode to the Carpenters. Guess where? Right here in the F tier. You guys complained enough. You earned yourself an F tier. This is what happens. I'm gonna build a house. Watch me building a house, guys. Look at this house that I'm building. Isn't this so cute? The square sun. Okay, we're in Minecraft now.
All right, so building houses and building suns are different. Do not try to build a sun.
Yeah, it's necessary that you not do that thing. Okay, so there's your house. That's where carpenters are now ranked down to. Carpenters are in F. Now we actually go to the comment section because there were other suggestions in the comment section, and I want to read through the comment section of the construction tier list video anyways, so that you can get an idea of the crap that I had to put up with. Crispy says, I'm a blasting superintendent. Definitely S tier, LOL. The explosives guys get respect from everyone and preferential treatment. I always build a good relationship with the cool GCs and owner reps. It's easy to make friends when I offer to let them pull the trigger and set off the blast. LOL, they buy us lunch sometimes and stay out of our way. If anyone is looking for a good career, drilling and blasting is a great field. I didn't go to college, but I make a six-figure salary, have my personal vehicle and gas paid for, and have a great life for my family. That sounds fantastic, but when was the last time you were on a construction job site with a blaster?
Blaster, like a sand blaster?
Like a dude who blows things up.
I don't think that's anywhere near our field. I'm sure there's lots of them. When is the last time you've needed a a demo like that for our kind of field.
People
We were working
engaging.
on building projects, not taking them down.
People engaging with your video is putting up with crap, says Robert. Well, look at this. Look at this engagement right here, buddy. 2,202 comments. How many of them have been suggestions of good trades? Land surveyor, nope. Network systems, nope. Blasting, I'll allow it. Pool cleaning, HVAC, already in there. Rebar, that's just an extension of the concrete guys. Let's read more replies here. Landscaper. Concrete, already have it. Linemen walk the earth as giants of it all other trades can run. That's true, but linemen don't work on construction sites. They work in the green space between them. You touched it a bit with steel erectors, but iron workers include rod busting and decking? Nope, they get lumped in with steel erectors. Scaffolders? Like, oh my gosh, the trades that are going to use the scaffold have a guy with their company that erects the scaffold. It's not a specific trade. You don't see trailers attached to trucks driving around on the highway, and on it says, Rain Scaffolding Company. Nope! Don't forget Surveyor! Stucco and siding guys! Excavation guys. Yup, I said site prep. Concrete? Yep, I said concrete. Excavation backfill? That isn't a trade. Project managers, architects, civil engineers, and so on. So yes, Robert, I am putting up with a lot of crap. We have had some good suggestions because also the door guys, the millwrights, the crane ops, and the rigging crew were suggested by the comment section. So yes, I do occasionally find a diamond in the rough, and I'm very grateful for whenever somebody rubs two brain cells together and comes up with a good idea. You missed the insulators, brother. No, I didn't. You missed an opportunity to go into a job that doesn't make you sick. Civil engineers are a trade, but whenever you think of a construction worker, do you think of a civil engineer? Whenever the average layperson thinks of a construction worker, do they think of a civil engineer? Do they think of the guy walking around with the cute little hard hat that's obviously not fitted correctly for him, and the dollar store, barely ANSI Class 2 reflective vest, and the little clipboard or the tablet, and then he walks around like this?
This clipboard is completely functional with average size, okay?
Looks completely out of place and also doesn't do anything with his hands. That's the key. It doesn't have to be so much about the visualization as much as what does he actually do besides draw pictures. That's why inspectors are down here in C, because they don't do anything but point. That's why surveyors are in C, because they don't do anything but look. That's why insulators are in F, because they don't do anything but itch. That's why carpenters are in F, because they don't do anything but complain. Have you trash talked the guy who spent like 3 hours planning how to cut down a tree? Oh, I guarantee there's somebody in the comment section that was like, why didn't you include the tree cutting down planners? Yeah. Blasters was what we were rating. Out of respect for the zany task, I won't put them in F. I'll put them in C. And I'll give them a little dynamite symbol.
That's cute.
Don't look at me, I'm Windows painting. There we go. And then I'll come over yonder and I'll get a little bit of a fuse here. I need to make a bigger nib for the pen. I'll get a fuse here. And it's got the glow around it of being lit. That's where the blasters belong. All right, I'm going to go back to the comment section and we're going to continue looking at the we're going to keep looking through the comment section, reading off the comments, and if we can actually find something somewhat usable, then we'll include it. But I'm telling you, I don't think we're going to find very many. Get the sense that being an electrician is like being a CrossFitter or vegan. Your sole purpose is to tell everyone how much better you are than everybody else. That's true. Yes, we are much better than everybody else. Elevator is the king of trades. 99% market share with the absolute best contact of any trades. Their contest they got them made. I believe it. Yeah, my perception of elevator guys is they have a really sick gig. It's just I don't have a whole lot of experience with them, so I couldn't put them any higher. Carpenter here. Love how you basically went through the 5 stages of grief when describing us and what we do. Why does every electrician think we're the best electrician? Because it's true. I'm a welder here, and I want to share these wise words from an old guy I work with. If you wear your sleeves heavy, you love safety glasses and dust masks, you'll be slightly uncomfortable all the time. If you wear none of them, you'll be pretty comfortable, but with brief periods of extreme pain. Very, very accurate description.
And
Um,
decreased lifespan.
yes, it's also very bad for your health to be on fire. Mage Matthews with the $50 super chat, which I certainly appreciate. Hey, Rainfall, this is for you. We really appreciate the information and appreciate you. Thank you so much for your contribution. Please, please, please keep churning out the lip-smacking, slap-happy content that you do. I would personally like to see a video about how you'd have a special type of person to build a homestead from barren land. I sincerely appreciate the super chat. I do. I'm always grateful for super chats. That is way too much, buddy. I thank you so much for that. But a video about how you'd have to be a special type of person to build a homestead from barren land? The best I can do is say, I have a house. I'm living in one. It's not a homestead. It's a house, so I do have one. If I wanted to have a homestead, then I would hire somebody to help me make homestead. That's it. That's the one. Did the carpenter hurt you? Intellectually, yes, but specifically through this comment section. You forgot about the cousins of electricians, the network guys? No, I didn't. I lumped them in with the electricians, but I did include them. We do have tech guys on the list now. This person just made a bunch of timestamps for the video, which I appreciate. What did you do, Dora? SS tier, the day laborers. Day laborers go at SS tier, huh? Okay, all right. You want to do that, Dora or Droa? Not Dora, Droa. We're gonna talk about the day laborers now. All right. This is what I think of day laborers. Day laborers are usually temporary workers who are rented from staffing companies who will send people out to do a variety of things. In this case, they work for the general contractor. They'll go around cleaning up the job site, generally making sure that there's not a whole bunch of slip, trip, and fall hazards everywhere, making sure that the barricade or barrier around the job site perimeter is secure and isn't falling down or isn't unclear as to the route that people need to take. They take bad material and trash out of the building, put it in the dumpster. That's pretty much the extent of the job. They're the custodians. And for a lot of people, for a lot of the temp workers, that is one of the only jobs that they can really get. It's the only one that's really available because there's so much stuff that happens on a construction site, but a lot of it does require putting in an application, passing background checks, a lot of experience, a lot of time, and a lot of investment, personal investment, and just having an availability of here's a broom or here's a box of stuff that needs to get thrown away. Please do this. That is huge for a person who doesn't have the time or the physical fitness or the capacity to do the heavier stuff. And it's absolutely necessary because without those people going around making sure the place stays clean, jobs would be really hard to navigate, and OSHA would have a heart attack if they came to most job sites that did not have a day laborer keeping it clean. Because it is such a vital element of a job site, and because it's such a vital element of a lot of the people's lives that are in it, because they wouldn't be able to get a job very many other ways that paid as much, I'm going to put it in A tier. Day laborers go in A tier. Tried to get a super chat, but couldn't get it working. Man, you don't have to send a super chat. I appreciate you, buddy. Don't worry about it. Thank you, though. Once we get done with this stream, I will be making a super cut of the stream so that it's actually digestible and it's like 15 to 20 minutes long instead of an hour long, because I know people are allergic, with the exception of people like Elver, who is just hanging out because he's a true Chad. You know, most people don't have the attention span necessary to sit here for longer than 5 seconds without clawing gouges into their neck, so they can't watch a live stream on YouTube most of the time. I'll be making a super cut of this, just like we've been doing along and along for the annoying things tier list. Day laborers.
That is the image of all time.
This is definitely up there. Yeah, day laborers belong in A. They do. It's the backs upon which the job is built. There we go. They've been ranked. You're welcome, Droa Therapy. Narrowing carpentry down to framing is just silly. Maybe you haven't been on as many cool projects as I have as a carpenter to think differently. No, I've been on a lot of projects, and I've seen a carpenter once on a project that wasn't a house. And I've been on 2 house projects. Only 2. Out of the almost pushing 10 years of working in construction, I've only been on 2 house projects, and I've seen a carpenter on 1 project that wasn't a house. It was a museum where they were there putting up wood for one part of the ceiling that was supposed to be like a decorative alcove or something, where you walk in and you look up and you're like, hey, there's boards. And then you walk into the rest of the museum. That is the one role that the carpenters had on this job site, was that little bit. Once that little bit was done, off they pop. The real trades continue finishing the project. That is the role that carpenters have in construction, is strictly decorative little tidbits. Framing is done by the framers who put up steel studs or aluminum studs. Framer here. Yup, we never hang sheetrock. Yes, they do. Yeah, the framers that he's talking about are the framers that use wood studs to frame up a house. They make the stick-built house. They have the studs that are all, you know, tacked together with cute little nails, and you make your house. The framers that I was talking about are the ones that put down the track, that they use a powder actuated tool to drive it into the concrete, and then they stand up the sometimes 20-foot tall studs that will comprise the wall. Then once they have the studs up, they will then have a truck come in with a forklift hanging off the back of it. They'll take the forklift off the truck. They'll grab big old stacks of sheetrock and take it inside the building and set it on dunnage. And then they'll grab entire sheets of sheetrock and slap it up against the studs and take their little DeWalt screw gun, the 11th one that they, you know, every other one was stolen, and drive them into the studs. Yeah, on a real project, working in a warehouse, building out an office space inside of the warehouse, or building an office building, you're going to have metal studs that get put up. And then as soon as the crew that put up the metal studs get done framing out the skeleton of the build out that they're building, then they start screwing in the sheetrock. That is a thing that happens. Because you haven't seen it before, you don't understand it, and that's why I'm not making more fun of you, Gare 2742. But you can't work on, you know, the 2-bed 1-bath and then think you know how it goes in the rest of the industry. Absolutely terrible takes in the comment section. Yeah, the landscapers are revving their mowers. Oh God, no. I'm about to have a zero turn come through the back window back there. Landscaper here, we're artists. So funny, I forgot to laugh. You skip the fire alarm guys. It's because they fall in with the IT guys who I also skipped. They're different companies. Sure, they are. They are different companies. They do the exact same thing. I actually will. I'm sorry. You know what? I will put I will put the fire alarm guys on the list. They have this little panel, this control panel, that we have to install as the electricians. We have to install the power for it. And it looks like this little red square. And I'll do this. Excuse the fart. And it has this little box here with a display that reads out if there's any error codes or if, you know, some sort of shenanigans are amiss. And that's actually just it. They pull their cable from like the tamper and flow switches for the fire risers, but we install the conduit for that. And a lot of times we pull the wire. Good amount of time we make up their device. They don't do a whole lot. But the safety guys is what I was going to rank. A lot of people love to hate on the safety guys. I get why. I get both sides of it. If you think about a construction company, it kind of can be boiled down to a struggle between two opposing ideologies. One side, the production side, doesn't care if the employees die, as long as the company turns a profit. That is the pure production side of the company. The other side of the company doesn't care if the company goes bankrupt, never makes a dime, as long as all the employees go home with all 10 fingers and toes. You can boil construction down to production that just cares about the money and not about the employees, and the safety that only cares about the employees and not about production. If either one of them is allowed to win this battle for equilibrium, the company will fail. There can't be a perfect synergy and harmony between the two. That's not how it works. You can't have oil and water mix perfectly because the two are mutually exclusive. Speed is unsafe. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast doesn't work in construction. It's about making sure that they both stay deadlocked. That's what determines the success of a company. Making sure that the safety guy doesn't get ignored. Making sure that people do not walk into a hazardous situation and are just exposed to things that could end their career before they live to spend the money that they're making. And you can't have the safety guy give the entire job site analysis paralysis where because they're so scared of going out and actually working, the safety guys are absolutely necessary. The safety department, the safety director, his safety crew, absolutely necessary for you, the worker, to go home safe. And you may hate the safety guy, and you may see the safety guy's truck pull up onto your job site, and you're like, well, there's that fucking safety guy again. God, where's my hard hat? He's such a dick to me all the time. I've heard horror stories about how, safety guys are, just walking out onto the job site to swing their around and make everybody feel insignificant and insecure and stuff. And I'm sure that there are safety guys who are like that. There's one of those in every company. I've met people who work for the confounded concrete guys where this little helper over here has that attitude. Or worked around the plumbers where, this one guy who was just soldering copper tubes together is a jerk to everybody. You can't stereotype the safety guy as always being the jerk, because from my experience, the safety guy is a jerk if he perceives that the person he's responsible for keeping alive cares less about the safety of themselves than he does. You're making his job harder. Well, of course he's going to be perceived as a jerk by you because you deserve it. I believe safety guys go in S tier because on paper, their job of preventing the production side of the company from bulldozing the lives of everybody that works for them is a noble and important task. And I'm not saying that safety guys are all saints. I'm sure that there are safety guys who are like, well, what's 2 plus 2? And you're like, 4. And they say, wrong! 2 plus 2 is 1 plus 3! You idiot! I'm sure those exist, but I've never met one. I don't know, having worked a day in construction, I think the list is done. I do too. I don't see how we can expand beyond this without putting little niche things on there that are not mainline construction jobs. So yeah, we're done here. I'll be honest with you, I could probably make a lot more videos about construction, but I don't want to because it's my job. And how often do you get home at the end of a workday? Put myself to full-size cam here because this is a serious topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. How often do you get home at the end of a day and think, man, I would like to continue this entire night thinking about work. Oh, it's the weekend? I'm going to spend it thinking about and talking about work. You don't. Unless you're insane or a workaholic, you don't constantly think about work. And for me, these couple times that I've made a construction topic video for the channel, it's been a deviation from the usual because I've just had that on my mind. Whatever topic it was I was talking about was what was present, and I wanted to make it, so I made it. It's not the usual content for the Rainfall YouTube channel. Don't expect me to keep making construction videos. I realize that the overwhelming majority of the views and subscribers that have come to this channel have come from 2 videos, Construction Site Culture, a video I made on a whim, and Construction Jobs Tier List, a video that I deliberately made with intent of making a video that would go viral. I didn't enjoy making that video very much at all because it just felt stilted. It was made to beat the algorithm, and it worked. I proved to myself that I could make an algorithm-pleasing video, but I just don't like talking about my job. If I worked for a retail company selling milk, I wouldn't want to come home at the end of the day and talk about retail. If I worked at a restaurant, I wouldn't want to come home at the end of the day and make a video about food service. I don't want to talk about my job because that breaches the work-life separation that I need to stay sane. YouTube is supposed to be an escape for me. And it's what keeps me from going into being an alcoholic, having to come home and see that the overwhelming majority of my views and subscribers come from 2 construction videos puts a prerogative on me to keep making construction content, but I don't want to most of the time. So yeah, videos like this are rare. I actually decided today I'll sit down and I'll talk about construction today. But don't expect this all the time. If you're subscribed to me because I talked about construction and you think that's what you're going to continue to get, it's not how it works. This is the Rainfall YouTube channel. It isn't Rainfall Construction. It isn't Rainfall Builds. This video is a video about me and my perception of the world that I'm living in and my perspective on topics that are important to me. I perfectly understand, but anyone who watches your videos can quickly see you know what you're talking about. I think that's why they got so many views. You clearly are a trustworthy source of information. I mean, I appreciate that amount of trust. And as far as other construction videos are concerned, there's a construction subreddit. There's an electrician subreddit. There's an OSHA fails subreddit. There are Reddits dedicated to various aspects of construction that I do know a good bit about and am not an authority on, but know enough about to be dangerous. So I was thinking about doing a little Reddit, not a Reddit Reacts thing, but just reviewing those subreddits and giving my ideas on what's going on with those, because most pictures on Reddit aren't copyrighted. It would be easy to get into that and just have a conversation about construction in an open forum.